Every punter has a story about the one that got away, the bet that looked nailed on, the favourite that couldn't lose, and then somehow it did. If you look back over those stories, a pattern often emerges. The losses don't always come in the Group 1s or the small field conditions races. They come in what I call the Punters Graveyard races. Races that lure punters in with apparent opportunities, but time and time again deliver chaos. Races where favourites are unreliable, results are unpredictable, and betting discipline goes out the window. Three types of races stand out. Firstly, the big field 5 furlong handicaps. Second, the amateur riders races. And third, the conditional jockey races. These races share one common theme: psychological traps. They play on our instincts, lure us into false confidence, and punish us when we ignore structure and logic. In today's episode, we're going to unpack the psychology of these Punters Graveyard races. By the end, you'll understand why big field 5 furlong handicaps are far more random than they appear, why amateur and conditional races amplify unpredictability, and most importantly, how to approach these races with the right mindset or whether to leave them alone entirely. And stick around until the end, because I'll give you a free resource that helps protect you in exactly these situations. The red flag method is a simple checklist that shows you when favourites are vulnerable and helps you dodge costly mistakes. Let's dig in. Few races capture punters' imagination and empty their wallets quite like the big field sprint handicap. 20 horses thundering down a straight, separated by a blanket on the line. On the surface, it feels more like an opportunity. More runners, more value, right? But in reality, these are some of the hardest races to call. So why are they punters' graveyards? Well, firstly, small margins. Over 5 furlongs, the distance between winning or finishing 10th can be a neck or less. Tiny margins decide outcomes, and randomness plays a bigger role. 2. Draw bias. Illusions punters latch onto draw bias, but in big fields, pace trumps draw. A good stall with no pace around it can be worse than a bad draw with 2 trailblazers nearby. 3. Overbets. Favourites the market loves a horse with one standout recent run, but in sprint handicaps, last time out winners often fail to repeat. Why? Because the chaos of 20 runners rarely allows the same scenario to unfold. 4. Psychology. Certain punters crave certainty in big puzzles. They overcommit to 1 or 2 obvious horses, convincing themselves they've cracked it. In reality, the variance is huge. So how do you approach them? We got to think in probabilities, not certainties. No horse in a 20 runner sprint should ever feel like a banker. Look for overlooked contenders. Horses priced at 14 to 1 plus often have as much of a chance as the favourite. The edge lies in value, not picking the winner. Respect pace maps. Focus on where the early speed sits. Groups, not draws, decide outcomes. And bankroll discipline. Stake smaller, accept variance, and avoid chasing. So second are amateur rider races. These are where, on paper, the form may look straightforward, but punters forget one key fact: the jockey is not a professional. So why are they punters' graveyards? The skill gap. Even the best amateurs lack the tactical nous of a seasoned pro. Mistimed rides, poor positioning, or exaggerated waiting tactics are common. Fitness and balance. Amateurs vary hugely in strength and balance. In tight finishes, these differences can make swing results. Market overconfidence. Punters often ignore the rider factor, treating favourites as if ridden by pros. This inflates prices on rivals and makes favourite vulnerable. 4. Trainer intentions. Some trainers treat amateur riders races as genuine targets, booking strong amateurs. Others use it for experience without context. Punters misread intent. Psychology traps. Form is form. Punters convince themselves that the horse's past runs override the rider's ability. The market must know. In reality, the market often underprices favourites in these races. So how do you approach them? Well, firstly, check the jockey's record. Some amateurs are top class, others are novices. Big difference. Watch for bookings. A shrewd trainer booking a trusted amateur is a signal. Treat form with caution. Rider ability can neutralise horse form. Staking very conservatively, or better off, skip these races unless you have a clear angle. So finally, let's talk about conditional jockey races, the national hunt equivalent of the amateur puzzle. Why they're punters' graveyards? Well, firstly, inexperience of conditionals while they're learning their craft. Mistakes are more likely. Poor judgment of pace, missed strides at fences, or misjudged positioning. Weight allowances. These races often involve horses carrying less weight with a conditionals claim. Punters overrate the benefit of a few pounds, underestimating the loss of the tactical expertise. Unpredictable pace scenarios. With multiple inexperienced riders, races can become messy. Crawl then sprint affairs, or overly strong gallops. Form doesn't always hold up. 4. Favourites vulnerable. Punters love backing a class horse with a conditional claim, but that class can be undone by the inexperienced riding or poor race shape. Psychological traps. The weight claim makes it a good bet. Weight isn't everything. The horse is too good for these, but even great horses need good rides. So how should we approach them? Firstly, profile the jockey. Some conditionals are future stars, others are raw. The difference matters. Respect experience. Look at the number of rides, strike rate and trainer trust. Analyse the race shape. Be prepared for messy pace and unpredictable outcomes. And again, manage bankroll. These are races to play small, if at all. So what unites these punters' graveyard races? Well, firstly, variance. Outcomes are more random than the market admits. Psychological bias. Punters crave certainty, overbet favourites, and underestimate unpredictability. The human factor. In amateur and conditional races, jockey ability, or lack of it, is decisive. Practical framework. Firstly, identify the graveyard races. Big field, 5 furlong handicaps, amateur riders races, and conditional jockey races. Second, acknowledge the variance. Accept that these races are harder to predict. 3, adjust stakes. Don't overcommit. Treat them as high risk, low confidence races. 4, look for market errors. Value often lies in overlooked outsiders, not favourites. Or pass. Sometimes the best bet is no bet. So here's the big lesson. The punters' graveyard race exists because of psychology. They lure punters in with the promise of easy winners but deliver chaos. In big field 5 furlong handicaps, the margins are razor thin and the favourites are overbet. In amateurs riders races, skill gaps between jockeys create unpredictability. In conditional jockeys races, inexperience and messy race shapes undermine form. If you want to survive and profit in these races, you must think differently. Accept the randomness, respect the variance, bet smaller or skip altogether. And when you do bet, look for overlooked value rather than obvious favourites. At Money Horse, that's what we're all about. Structure, logic and discipline. Cutting through hype and avoiding the psychological traps that drain punters' bankrolls. And if you want a free resource to help sharpen your betting discipline, check out the red flag method. It's a simple, repeatable system that helps you spot weak favourites in minutes, perfect for graveyard races where the market so often gets it wrong. Don't let psychology beat you. Use logic, use structure, and you'll always be ahead of the crowd. Thanks for listening, and until next time, may your pace maps be clear, your favourites be genuine, and your bankroll stay intact. And as always, win quietly.